What is up guys, my name is Bertrand and today I want to show you a video how to set up your wheel correctly. Especially I'm talking about the Fanatec Clubsport steering wheel Formula V2, which is my wheel. I use it for F1 2020, Assetto Corsa, but also for race room racing experience. So that's quite a nice wheel, but I need to show you how to set it up in F1 2020 now. So the first thing you need to do is focus on schemes. Especially I want to say to you that custom schemes are the way to go, because all the enabled and required schemes that are provided by Fanatec, so this is a basic scheme which you can simply take and able or enable. That's, I think, not the one you should go with, because it feels rubbish to drive around, and that's not the one your wheel can do. At first, when I tried these schemes, I wasn't happy, so I really wanted to adjust it, and now I want to show you how I did it. So you need to go to make a custom scheme, click edit, and now I'm going to show you the calibration. So at first I want to say to you that steering saturation, linearity or dead zone is really unnecessary in the F1 game. I don't use these settings because in my opinion they don't help you to get faster, and it simply feels bad if you make them, because you see below the steering, if I move, you see the steering moves too, and if I make on dead zone you will see that if I move, this moves at first, it doesn't move, and then it moves a big one. So that's absolutely bad to drive. You want to have a similar driving experience than in a real car, so that's really unnecessary. Also with linearity and saturation it's the same case. One thing you should focus on if you have a wheel and pedals is the throttle saturation and the brake saturation. So if you adjust the throttle saturation, maybe you take it up to 20 or something like this, the throttle is going to be really aggressive, you see. And if I move it down again, it's not aggressive anymore. So you need to feel the balance. And also with brake, if you have brakes like my Fanatec Clubsport V3 brakes, where I need to put in 50 kilograms to stop the car, then you maybe can make the brake saturation a little bit higher, and then it's much easier to take the step into the brake pedal and to slow the car down, maybe in ahead of the La Source corner at Spa, for example. Going on, I have 0 because I've set this up in the Fanatec Tuning Menu. This is a setting from your wheelbase, where I'm going to show you the settings too a little bit later. But now jumping onto the vibration and force feedback. These settings are the most important ones when we talk about setting up the wheel correctly for F1 2020. You see, vibration and force feedback needs to be on, otherwise you won't feel anything. You won't simply feel like a wheel which costs you 10 euros on eBay because there's no force feedback. So switching it on is the first step. Then vibration and force feedback strength. That's an individual case, you need to decide yourself. I've selected 65 because I think if you drive longer races, especially league races, on tracks with a lot of corners, for example Baku, where you are on a street course and you need to turn your wheel really often, it's really important to set it quite low, because then it's not that exhausting. If you go on track effects, we talk about curbs, driving over the asphalt, for example, or driving over something which lies on the floor. That's really important to set quite low, because then it will feel smooth and not that hard. Also for rumble strip effects it's the same case. Talking about off-track effects, we talk about grass or gravel, or if you're driving in an online race and there are dirty drivers who take you out of the race and you are in the gravel, it's simply frustrating if your wheel starts to vibrate like crazy. So I would set this setting also really low. And that's the same case for the wheel damper, which is also in the context. Understeer enhance is the possibility to make understeer more harder. This means if you switch this on, your wheel will help you to feel the understeer if you have it. So for example, if I'm driving Silverstone and I have a bad setup and I got a lot of understeer, my steering wheel is vibrating that I have understeer, and I think that's unnecessary too. And the last setting you need to worry about is the wheel rotation, which I can't find in this in-game settings, because with the newest patch of F1 2020, where the new F2 cars came into the game, there is no more option to set this to 360 degrees or something like this. So we are gonna jump right over into the Fanatec Tuning Menu. This is the settings of the wheelbase, and then I'm going to explain what I have selected. As I've mentioned, we jump into the Fanatec Tuning Menu. You see I'm switching the settings. These are the default settings, also like in the F1 2020 game. And my F1 2020 setting is the setting 1. You see it's 360 degree. You can set it here. Then you go to force feedback intensity, that's 80, so simply strong. Shock and vibration, also 80, so really strong wheel. BR ABS, that's the ABS reaction when you brake, how strong it should be. Drift mode is not relevant for this wheel actually in F1 2020. Force is general, how strong it should feel, it's also 80 in my case. Spring are everything with the curbs, it's 60. Damper is everything with the dampers, the name says it, it's 60. And force feedback intensity is the general whole wheel, how it should feel when you're driving around the corner. And MPS and all the other stuff isn't relevant. So I want to say it's really important to set in the default setting, and there is a button which with you can activate the Fanatec Tuning Menu, and in my case it was really important to set in not that hard settings in game, but in the Fanatec Tuning Menu you saw at 80 and 60 for spring, etc. It's really important for me itself that I have a really strong wheel. So guys, I want to say big thank you for being here today in this video. I hope I could help you with my Fanatec wheel Clubsport settings. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button to never miss any video again, and write down in the comments which wheel you are using and what kind of tutorials you want to see in the future.